job as the back line of that defense. And, on the other side today, we'll see Hampton has rolled two different goalkeepers out there this year, and we'll see how things progress as we get underway today.
And we are underway. First face-off controlled by Monmouth. And we are underway. Terrence Lacewell will come away with it. And again, we welcome you here to West Long Branch on this overcast Saturday afternoon. And our CAA Men's Lacrosse Game of the Week on Lacrosse TV. Proud to be broadcasting on the Monmouth Digital Network and as well on Flow Sports this afternoon. Early look at attack for Monmouth. First shot comes from another transfer, that's Matt Doliv. And the Rutgers transfer shoots wide. A Monmouth attack that will be deliberate. And this one was loose in front. It'll stay with Monmouth. You're going to see a lot of different players be involved. And really it's key, I think, on both of these teams. We highlighted Stanley for Hampton, McCrae for Monmouth. But the true hallmark of the Monmouth program is they do get a lot of different players involved. And this year it's been a lot of young players that Brian Fisher has relied on for a lot of his goals.
Well, yeah, you look at Brandon Dundas, who you've already mentioned, Eddie, leading the way, 19 goals as a freshman out of Doylestown. You've got Connor Gorman, sophomore transfer from Marquette with 18, and McCrae, who we've talked about at 17. So that's a big three to contend with there, not to mention the rest of the depth that Monmouth has in their attack unit.
Yeah, the veterans for both of these teams, for the most part, reside on the defensive side. Monmouth's first possession of the afternoon. Hawks are happy to be back home. 3 in a row away from home. And now they've had a couple of opportunities to test out the Hampton keeper in David Sadasavam. He's tested early and often, 16 saves in his last matchup against Delaware.
Yeah, and the key for this Hampton defense is just got to be to limit the pressure that he faces today. You cannot ask your goalkeeper to do too much, especially against this Monmouth unit who finally is able to strike.
How about that clever finish from the sophomore from Ramsey, New Jersey? Connor Gorman makes it 1-0 with his 19th goal of the season.
Well, you mentioned it, Eddie, right off the bat, that this is not a team in Monmouth that is very easy to rush, very composed throughout that possession, set themselves up with a couple of early shots, got the shot clock to reset, had plenty of time to work, and then they got the inside look to Gorman, who's able to finish it off for his 19th of the year.
Top 10 in the league with now 19 goals. We take another look.
Yeah, and you mentioned the cleverness of the finish. That pass jammed him a little bit, thought that he was going to pivot to his outside, get that shot going around to the left, and able to fool both his defender on that left shoulder and obviously the goalkeeper, Sadasavam, as well, to put Monmouth on top 1-0. Good shot.
First goal of the afternoon, and then Monmouth and Ethan Cronk winning the ensuing faceoff. That Gorman goal, even a bit more impressive when you factor he's 6'4", 200 pounds. He's not a small, 5'7", 5'8" player, with one of those box lacrosse finishes. It was a long way for him to kind of go around the head there.
It's absolutely, yeah, you're not sneaking up on anyone, and Monmouth this time firing quickly and doubling their lead on a nice outside shot.
Yeah, that's the junior Luke Cole, who has scored 2 goals in 5 straight games and well on his way to doing that again with his 11th of the season.
Well, and it just shows, you look at those 2 goals, which are separated by, a matter of seconds here, the different ways that this Monmouth team can beat you. And we've talked about the depth that this attacking unit has. Cole shows you that time, spins, gets his defender on the back shoulder, and that shot just a little bit too easy for Cole. And Monmouth strikes back-to-back here to take a quick 2-0 lead.
23rd career goal for the junior from Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Scrum in the middle of the field, and 3 for 3 now, Monmouth, in terms of winning faceoffs. A couple of minutes into the match, and the Hawks looking to build on a 2-0 lead. We mentioned how Monmouth happy to be back home. Well, this is Hampton's first road game since the beginning of the month. They've been at home since March the 2nd. A turnover, and numbers the other way. Here come the Pirates. Good execution and a goal. Clever finish, Sebastian West, and the freshman from Wisconsin makes it 2-1.
Well, and Darius Stanley really started that play. He was the guy that we told you to keep an eye on at the beginning of the broadcast. Finally, Monmouth makes a mistake, putting that ball on the ground. The turnover off the pass, and Stanley, to his credit, no hesitation as he picked it up. And that's your best friend sometimes, is just not letting the defense get set. Extra pass right in front. You have Fawcett finding West, and the freshman's able to finish it for his third career goal.
First assist of the season for Miles Fawcett in a classic 2-on-1 after the turnover. You know, you were speaking earlier about, Hampton maybe wanting to shorten the game, wanting to play defense. I tell you, I give him a ton of credit, taking opportunities when given to them and able to convert.
Yeah, and that's the real-time decision-making. Stanley is just a sophomore, but obviously entrusted with his role on the offense, and there was no hesitation there, to their credit. I think any hesitation allows Monmouth to get back, get set, and that becomes a totally different story. So good job by Hampton to sense the moment. They've had struggles on the face-offs, obviously, as Monmouth wins another one here. So when you know you're going to be behind in terms of time of possession, you got to make the ones you get count, and they have.
2-1 the Monmouth lead. You know, if you thought either team was going to ease themselves into the game, you were wrong. Monmouth has been aggressive, and Hampton, in the only attacking chance they had after the Monmouth turnover, proved to be equally aggressive. Yeah,
we talked about close and low scoring, maybe right on one of those two counts so far, but yeah, the goals have been flying early on here.
There is Brendan Dundas, the freshman from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. 8th in the league in terms of goals, but here shows that he can be a facilitator as well, and he finds Luke Cole's second goal of the afternoon.
Well, and this is just a mistake inside by the Hampton defense, losing sight of Luke Cole. We already saw what he could do from distance earlier, and this time he's able to get right to the edge of the crease. Nobody picks him up. We'll get another look here on the good find from Dundas, and you see just too much space there for Cole to work with. Nearest defender to him was Matt Hunter, a senior, and he just has too much room. That's putting your goalkeeper, Sadasavam, in a tough spot to try to defend that, and Luke Cole keeps that multi-goal streak going.
Yeah, now 6 straight games with exactly 2 goals. Not at least. He gets the 2, and then he worries about the rest of his game.
Well, he's done pretty well for himself today then in 4 minutes of work. We'll see if he does not want that streak to continue, wants to break out of that number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Would like to add maybe 1 or 2 more this afternoon. As after the violation, here is Hampton's first look at true settled action, trailing Monmouth 3-1.
And a good chance to look at this Monmouth defensive unit, which, as you noted, Eddie, has been the hallmark of this program. Even, looking at one of their last game out at Hofstra, 8-7 in overtime. Certainly can't pin that one on the defense, and a nice save there by Heller.
Yeah, that was our first look at Darius Stanley, the leading Hampton goal scorer, who will look for his attacking options early and often. Yeah, you referenced that last Monmouth game. And speaking to Brian Fisher during the week, and even though it was a loss, and Brian Fisher's led Monmouth to 2 championships. He doesn't play moral victories, but he referenced that game to say, you know what, that's one of those games where you look and say, I think we're getting there in terms of being a program, a perennial power in Hofstra to go to overtime. And Monmouth had to come back in that game. They were down 4 goals late in the third quarter, coming back to force OT, and you said it. It was a defensive coach's dream in that game. It was not one for the attackmen in an 8-7 finish.
Yeah, and as you said, no moral victories, that's for certain. And when you look at the standings, it counts as a loss, and it's 1-2 for Monmouth, and it means that the path toward that top 4 gets that much tougher. But obviously, that's something that you can hang your hat on and build off of. And we'll see as the Monmouth defense goes on today if they're able to string together another performance like what they did up in Long Island last week.
Fake at the first shot, and then Gorman, who we saw score behind the back, and then tried to scoop one, and it went wide. So Vasadam able to track it down, so Hampton gets a defensive stop.
Well, he certainly has all the tricks in the cabinet there. Just couldn't put that one on goal, but the misdirection worked the first time. Can't necessarily blame him for trying it again. Here's Hampton working very quickly once again on the offensive end.
A good hustle. The diving attempt came from Fawcett, who had the assist earlier, but Monmouth with too many defenders back. You know what? Hampton's been anything but kind of patient on attack. You know, you saw a long pass there, and they're trying to get numbers. They want to get into 3-on-2s and 2-on-1s and try to catch Monmouth sleeping, as that was one of their long pole defenders, Bethea, who triggered that attack.
Yeah, and obviously it worked for them, leading toward their first goal here, their only goal so far today. So in that respect, you can't knock the strategy. The problem is when you don't convert and you're not in position to have that shot backed up, now you're giving it right back to Monmouth, and again, putting some more pressure on this defensive unit.
Fired over the top from Dundas. It'll stay here as they reset the shot clock, and a fresh 60 seconds for Monmouth.
Got a nice job by the goalkeeper, Sadasavam, to get the stick up and deflect that one away.
Back to the settled action. Sean Ketchen gonna work it around Gorman, who scored Monmouth's second goal. A give and go look with Ketchen. Savasadam got a stick on it.
Well, and his best save of the afternoon there. He's had a couple tough goes at it, 1v1 against a Monmouth attacker, but that time able to get the stick low and make the save.
Monmouth keeping the pressure on, and they flip the script now as Gorman plays the role of facilitator himself. And Monmouth will add to its lead. Caden Kesselring with the goal.
Well, and this time it is the 5'7" Kesselring. You referenced the size of Gorman earlier, 6'4". Kesselring just able to sneak his way inside. But Monmouth has been doing a great job in this first quarter with off-ball action. They've been very active. They're making cuts. They're putting themselves in great position when they receive these passes. And Gorman did an excellent job of facilitating, finding Kesselring. And, you know, it's a tough look for Sadasavam, who made that really good point-blank save earlier in the possession, asking him to make two in a matter of seconds, just too much.
Well, Hampton, momentarily, I thought they would have had the face-off win there, but Monmouth able to keep possession. On a whistle here and a penalty coming, not needing to be too delayed as well. Coming out of the pack with possession for Monmouth was Patrick Orapello, who they're happy to get back, missed some time with injury earlier this year, and it looks like the Hawks will have their first man-up situation with just under 8 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, and so now the degree of difficulty becomes that much more difficult for Hampton. They've already conceded 4 goals here in the first 7 minutes of game action.
Fawcett appears to be the guilty party as he's walked off. Actually, it'll be Mason Howard as well. First penalty this afternoon comes with Monmouth leading 4-1.
Yeah, this has been an area where Monmouth has had some share of struggles this year, being able to convert these man-ups. And so, you know, excellent time to see if they can take advantage and grow this first quarter lead.
And Monmouth does convert, and they don't waste any time at all as they convert a man-up. That was Nick Tietz, the junior from Schwenkville, Pennsylvania, to make it 5-1.
Well, and yeah, other than that first possession where Monmouth really settled in, worked slowly, they have been willing to pull the trigger if they have the green light when they've got space, and we've seen them spread around the goal scoring as well. Tietz becomes the 4th different goal scorer here in the first quarter, and yeah, if you've got it, don't worry about being early in the penalty clock. He takes the look and is able to convert. Nice shot there by Tietz.
It's the 7th man-up goal of the season for Monmouth. You know, they came into play among the bottom of the CAA in terms of converting a man-up, so that'll, you know, do wonders, not just for the confidence, but, you know, when you get into those close games, those situations become so important, and those goals a lot of times loom large in these close CAA contests.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, you talk about the profile of games that Monmouth has played. You look at giving up 6 goals in an 11-6 win at Stony Brook for their 1 league win. You know, let one get away from them against Delaware, 16-7. Obviously, Delaware right now one of the 2 unbeaten teams left in the league in that 8-7 overtime loss against Hofstra. So, yeah, those situations are going to be magnified when you get them in Monmouth, only converting about 25% right now.
Good save, Savasadam, able to stop Dundas.
And Dundas has had a couple of early looks, not able to convert, and now it'll be interesting to see when Hampton is not able to get that quick transition, how they're able to fare here on the clear, and a nice job up that far side.
Yeah, it's Amari Ford who does it himself, and now we'll see what, I feel like when we've seen Hampton on attack, it's been looking for those quick advantage plays, looking to try to get numbers. They did get that early goal after the Monmouth turnover. Here is West, the player that scored that goal. Now Stanley, their leading scorer. feel like we've played almost 9 minutes, and Monmouth hasn't had to play a full defensive possession yet.
Now, one very quick one that resulted in a save for Heller.
West going to use the screen from Jonathan Angel. It's Ellison Burt Murray now finding Steele Downing. Clock starting to become a factor with 15 to shoot. Looking for motion in front of the cage. Stanley was there, and a good defensive job. Oh, it was a nice job by Monmouth. Backing up the play, it was one of their younger defenders in Miles Fang.
Well, and a nice job by Ellison Burt Murray, who was trying to spin there in that far corner just to buy some space, as you said, Eddie. Shot clock winding down really limited the options there. You put it in front of the crease, hope that you can sneak that pass through a couple of gray shirt defenders, and unfortunately for Hampton, just not able to.
Matt Dolliv waiting for some of his second unit attackmen to join on. 10 minutes gone by in the opening quarter. 5-1 Monmouth on top. Low pass, heading towards that Hampton bench, and unable to be scooped up in time. Teach tried to get there, but another Monmouth turnover.
Well, and this has been, you know, if there is a small mark against Monmouth in this first quarter, you know, they've had a couple of empty possessions on some unforced errors in passes. That one that led directly to the Hampton goal as Stanley picked it up and took it down in transition. And nice effort here in the middle of the field by Monmouth to try to win it right back, and they do. Yeah,
they do, and now they'll look for numbers the other way. A really good job defensively, riding that attempted Hampton clear.
And a good job by Hampton to get back as well. I thought for a second there that Webb might have wanted to push in transition. Instead, you know, Hampton gets their numbers back, and Monmouth will now work it out of their settled offense.
Yeah, we saw the same thing. I thought Webb initially wanted to go and then didn't have enough numbers. Nice move here, splitting the defense and scoring. Sean Ketchen, the senior from Baltimore, makes it 6-1.
Well, and I think what has been most impressive, obviously 6 goals in a quarter, less than that, 6 goals in 11 minutes is remarkable efficiency for Monmouth, but they have scored in a variety of different ways as well, and this one all on the dodge from Ketchen. Just a really nice individual effort. We'll get another look. Yeah, it's that hesitation and that fake back to the right to get around Jaden Price. Again, that's a senior defender. Well, and part of that is the face-offs as well, because Monmouth has won 6 out of 7. So, you know, already they've put themselves in favorable positions, getting those extra possessions and being able to get on this run of scoring and getting the ball right back. So I think that is step number 1 here for Hampton coming out of this timeout, is they've just got to find a way to take more of that clock, as you said.
And it wasn't Tran to take that face-off for Hampton. They rotate a few players at that spot. That was the 5'7" freshman Matthew Hall to try his hand at it, but Monmouth has now won 7 of 8 first quarter face-offs as we near the 3.5-minute mark in our opening quarter. Good action there, the pitch back to Cole, but Hampton doing well defensively. Cole starting the attack again. Savassadam, the nice save.
Well, that was a better job that time by the Hampton defense. Nathan Turner out there trying to keep Cole wide and put him in a less favorable shooting spot, giving Sadassavam a better chance to get down and get that save. So nice job by Hampton. Unfortunately, turn it over on the missed clear, and now they're going to have to go right back to work.
Monmouth looking for some numbers. Hampton with good transition defense, able to get all of those bright blue jerseys back. Yeah, the blue on gray uniform matchup. I like one of the teams to wear a white jersey.
Yeah, well, you're old. You're an old soul.
A little old school in that way, but you know, everyone loves an alternate color. The Monmouth grays are sharp, and you can see the number, so that's always a key as well.
That's really, I'll sign for that as we look at in the top left that replay a moment ago, and a really nice job by Sadassavam, who, again, the score line is a little unflattering right now, but has had to make a couple of big saves. He's got 3 saves in this game, and a couple of them really nice ones.
And add 1 to the total. His 4th save, Monmouth trying to go high. And now Hampton trying to launch a counterattack.
Yeah, here's that speed again, which has been their best weapon today, though Monmouth gets their numbers back, and now we'll have a more traditional possession for Hampton.
Some of Hampton's second unit attack into the matchup as well. Haven't mentioned Darius Stanley's name a whole bunch on this end of the field. He is Hampton's leading goal scorer, coming in with 10 already this season.
And we talked about that at the beginning. That's part of the charge. When you are the leader in goals in a team that has struggled at times offensively, you're going to get everyone's best look. You've got to find that extra way to get yourself into an advantageous position. Hasn't been able to quite do that today. This time getting the pass off to Sebastian West, who does have the 1 goal for Hampton.
Monmouth controlling not only the action this afternoon, but a lot of the attacking chances to this point. Hampton 20 to shoot. Trying to see where the Pirates are gonna find that attack. There's so much attention being paid to Stanley. And they tried to send a Pirate diving towards the goal, now just 3 seconds to shoot. And they'll just dump it behind goal with a minute to go in the first quarter, and a defensive stop for Monmouth looking to build on a lead.
Well, and a credit to the Hawks, because on the last 2 possessions, we have seen Hampton go slower, and basically both times they have been forced into quasi-shot clock violations. The first time, the shot clock was winding down, forced a bad pass into the crease, and Monmouth got the turnover that way. That time, an actual 80-second shot clock violation, but a nice job by Monmouth to stay patient, to play good, solid team defense from corner to corner. And they've been tested a little more on these last couple of Hampton possessions, where they have been able to take some more time, and Monmouth has been up to the task both times.
You can see the shot clock and game clock are, it's funny they still run them, I know they have to, but just under 20 to shoot now for Monmouth. So they could choose to take one of the final shots in this opening quarter. Leading 6-1, and there is another goal. Gorman scored early, and now he scores Monmouth's 7th with 11.5 seconds to go in the first.
Well, and you could see just by the play of Connor Gorman in this quarter why he is one of those 20-goal scorers for Monmouth, and among the leading scorers in this league, because we have seen such variety here. Had that behind the backer early, this time skips one low, perfect placement to that far corner. I mean, Sadassavam had some time to try to get there on his stick side and just couldn't catch up as that ball skidded across the turf. Just a beautiful shot by Gorman, and Monmouth, to their credit, played it near perfectly. You're taking that clock down to 10 seconds, limiting the chance, even if you give up the face-off here, that Hampton's going to be able to do anything, but they got the shot they wanted, and it's a nice punctuation note on the quarter.
And Gorman will go into the second quarter scoring 2 goals for the 8th time in 10 games. Part of an explosive opening quarter at home for Monmouth. Kevin, a 7-1 Monmouth lead, and they did it in style early on.
Started early and finished. Connor Gorman got it started, and Monmouth never stopped from there as they lead by 6.
Visit monmouth.edu/golf outing for sponsorship opportunities and online auction information. Second quarter underway. We welcome you back to Kessler Stadium with Monmouth leading Hampton 7-1. If you want Kevin and I, by the way, to play in that Monmouth golf outing, if you pay for it, we are more than happy to be there.
I was wondering when the celebrity foursome invite was coming. I thought that maybe mine got lost in the mail. As
Yours
did yours.
And mine got sent together.
That's what it is.
I will say I am a lot of fun on the golf course, and none of it has to do with hitting a ball.
It's not going to help the overall team score.
No. I will volunteer to drive any cart that is there. It's already kind of weird. It's that time of year. There's golf outings. I mean, I know the calendar says April, but still doesn't feel that way, even though we're getting into these more important lacrosse matchups. The overall spring landscape, it's amazing how quickly this kind of season's going.
Yeah, and it has been stubbornly cold here in the Northeast, and luckily we've got a little bit of blue skies and sunshine that started to peak out later in that first quarter, but it has been cold, it has been windy, blowing left to right here across your screen in Kessler Stadium, but it does not feel like April yet.
No, I should have given Chaz Woodson the heads up when we spoke and just said, hey, listen, if you didn't pack the quarter zip and the jacket, you might need to.
Yes, heading in the wrong direction from the Tidewater area for sure.
And Monmouth won the majority of that face-offs in the first quarter. Hampton getting an opportunity here, but with a flag up and that first possession being an empty one, we'll see now what transpires with Monmouth leading 7-1.
Oh, and again, another forced shot clock violation where Hampton just had to dump that ball into the corner. So credit Monmouth's defense. You're not going to get a whole lot of the headlines when the offense puts up 7 goals in 15 minutes. But they had some more work to do late in the first quarter and now early into the second. And they have pretty much passed every test so far today on the defensive end.
Yeah, they've allowed the 3rd fewest goals in the league. They trail only Delaware and Towson, the 2 unbeaten teams in the league in that category. Monmouth getting contributions from a handful of players in that opening quarter. 2 goals apiece for Gorman, Luke Cole. A pass behind, catch in there, and Monmouth will turn it over. It'll be Amari Ford to come away with the ground ball as Hampton looks to cut into the 6-goal lead.
And the mistakes for Monmouth have been so few and far between that, they almost seem magnified when you come up with goal after goal on every possession. It feels like, a much bigger turnover to take away a scoring opportunity in that time. The pass just a little bit off, nothing severe, catching, unable to pull it in, and credit to Hampton for being able to take advantage and getting it upfield quickly.
They had the first possession in the second quarter, and now they'll look to capitalize. Here's West. Scored their goal back in the first quarter. Burt Murray now operating. They run another attacker on as Downing will wait. Oh, he and Angel not on the same page. And Monmouth will pick up the Hampton turnover. Hawks will look to go the other way quickly. Dundas waiting for gray jerseys to join him. Monmouth around they go. Excellent ball movement, and then right in front of the goal, did everything but shoot, was Burke Webb.
Well, and a nice job by Sadasavam to stay with that play and not get taken in by all the fakery right at the edge of the crease.
Now Hampton trying to run quickly the other way, going all the way and scoring, Jonathan Angel.
Well, Angel makes up for the turnover on the last possession as he threw it away back to Downing. He gets his chance here, brings it all the way inside, and the 2 Hampton goals in this game have been near carbon copies of each other. The transition game, not letting this stout Monmouth defense get set up, has really been the key for Hampton today.
Now 2 straight games with a goal, scored against Delaware last time out, and the senior from Long Island right down the middle of Monmouth's defense.
Oh, and an excellent start to the quarter. Hampton got that opening possession, came up empty, but again, shortening the game a little bit, trying to keep that Monmouth attack at bay. They've gone 3.5 minutes, have not allowed Monmouth to score, and they've added to their total. So it's been a nice start coming out of the quarter for Chaz Woodson's team.
Yeah, agreed. And a team that, when you speak with Hampton's head coach, you can hear the optimism in his voice and the future being bright for this Hampton team that, is getting up to speed. They had to get up to speed into really college lacrosse in general, just being a new program starting in 2016, but then thrown into the mix, right? You're not just playing lacrosse, you're playing in a tremendous league that routinely gets multiple teams into the NCAA tournament. Sadasavam makes another save. But he draws the line to a couple of years ago when they became a program that had more funding and that started to, able to stack recruiting classes with each other. And he mentioned it. He said the breakthrough for this team is coming.
Yeah, pair of wins a season ago. They have been winless so far this season, but again, it's not the type of program build that you're going to get those types of measurements. It's the kinds of things that Coach Woodson is seeing day in and day out, the things that we're not seeing in practice and the like. It is a tough build. It's tough to do in this league. And, you know that by the time you get to where you're competing with the top teams in this league, by default, you're going to be competing with the top teams in the country. And that's the battle for Monmouth as well, coming out of some great success in the MAC to try and now hold their own among the teams here in the CAA.
Hampton wanting some clarification on the whistle. Chaz Woodson made a really good point that I kind of had forgotten about. He said his seniors on his team had not one but 2 seasons of lacrosse taken away.
Yep.
And then when you draw the parallel, he said it was their senior year in high school and it was their freshman year in college. So when you start realizing from a development standpoint, those are any 2 years in a young player's career are crucial, but those 2 are pivotal seasons where you miss some development. Now maybe gained, and he mentioned it, gaining a lot of off-the-field character and resilience is one thing, but you can't replace game reps, which you try to duplicate it through practice as much as you can, but nothing can do what a game can.
No, and that's why we've seen, probably a year or 2 behind where they would want to be at this stage in terms of that overall program development, but still making up for that lost time. And again, you have to take some of those victories that aren't going to count on the final scoreboard to build the road ahead for Hampton.
Starting, going again, Dala, who threw one off the post. Scooped up by Dundas, and it'll stay with Monmouth with a reset, 60 to shoot. Big screen in the middle, leading to a goal. And that was well done by Dundas, who got the big screen and was able to finish.
Yeah, it was Dollop that did the ugly work to set up Dundas, and now he joins his teammate Gorman at that 20-goal mark. He gets his first of the day and 20th of his impressive freshman season. And again, you look at the different ways that Monmouth has done it. You see that space coming in off the screen. There's a better look at it there from Dollop, who he took a pretty solid hit to spring his teammate. He definitely gets the credit for the assist, even if it doesn't go in the scorebook, to set Dundas up on that one.
And Dundas part of a young recruiting class for Monmouth that, as they got more familiar with what the CAA was, you could see some of these young, talented players that Brian Fisher's team has. Kronk trying to go face off to goal and shooting wide.
Well, I don't think that's a bad idea there for Monmouth. They've settled in a little bit here in the second quarter, haven't been able to score at the clip they did in the first, and so you try to mix up speeds, mix up personnel a little bit if you have the chance to do so. I don't think that's a bad take at all for Monmouth, and it's backed up and they keep the possession.
Yeah, and Kronk has done it this year. He did that in Monmouth's first game of the year against LIU. Cole scored a couple of times, going to rely on his teammate. Here's McCray. We haven't called his name all match, and he says it's about time as Connor McCray gets on the board for Monmouth's 9th goal.
It took a while to get going, but makes up for it here. A really nice shot. And again, if you're going to take the shot from that far out, you've got to do something with it. McCray certainly has the tools to be able to do that as he registers number 18 this season. We'll get another look. McCray starts with that little dodge to the right, and again, just able to skip one past. That's a tougher one for Sadasabam there, trying to get that stick low and just simply not able to catch up. Monmouth has been able to use this home turf to their advantage a few times, and that's just a wickedly tough shot to save for McCray.
Look at that Monmouth record book, and we highlighted him in our open of the broadcast. Connor McCray's name is everywhere. 74 goals. It's the second most all-time with this Monmouth program. There's one of the first times that we've seen Tommy Heller come away with a big stop as he stopped Miles Fawcett to keep it 9-2. And we'll pause the McCray talk for a second, Kevin, because Tommy Heller is an interesting story. He competed, came in the offseason, competed with the incumbent starter, Andrew Cullman, Monmouth had a couple of young freshmen as well that they were competing with. And in an open competition, Heller, who transferred in from Albany where he was a part-time player, is having a really nice season.
Absolutely. You look at the 54% save percentage, which is third best in this conference. And, yeah, coming into a pretty established defensive unit, I think it's been a great fit. Someone that brings in his level of experience as well, allowing just a shade over 10 goals per game and, save percentage this year among the leaders in the conference.
Ranked 12th in the NCAA, just under 13 saves per game, leads the league. Has now made a couple of stops this afternoon. So Monmouth just got that goal from one of their leaders in Connor McCrae, a graduate student. How many times have you had to say that, by the way, doing all the games we do?
Yes, I've stopped trying to keep track of eligibility in our post-COVID world.
Have you just removed that from the? Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, because you could have a graduate student that also has 2 or 3 years of eligibility left. It's hard to keep track of, but yeah, there is no substitute for experience for sure, and it's paid off for a number of teams in a lot of different spots.
Yeah, there was a time when you would see the, kind of go behind the curtain with Kevin and I. You'd see the graduate year, and you go, all right, well, it's their last year. And then you talk to maybe a coach or someone, they go, yeah, we're hoping he comes back.
Yeah.
Like, how much graduate work is he going to do?
You get doctors leaving these programs now.
I did 2.5 years of grad school. I'm good.
Yeah.
Whole different ball game. And it's not just the sports that, maybe make their way onto mainstream media more that people will realize is that shot goes wide, the quick release one time with the shot clock winding down.
Yeah, and that was probably a product of exactly that for Kesselring. They are having to get one off, not necessarily the best angle, and push that one wide. So good job by Hampton's defense to, again, force an empty possession for Monmouth. There have been a few more of those in the second quarter than there were in the first.
Yeah, but and Kevin mentioned it earlier, saying the phrase, everyone knows, saying transfer portal, but you see it. It's not just football and basketball that applies to. It has obviously impacted so much of the entire landscape of college athletics. I mean, we could just look up and down Monmouth's roster. Connor Gorman was a Marquette player before coming in. Kronk, who takes their faceoffs, was at Rutgers. We mentioned Heller, the keeper. So you're starting to see it really impact sports really across the landscape.
Well, and it really becomes incumbent on the coach and the coaching staff to find the right way to incorporate transfers in a way that's still in keeping with the overall building of the program. And credit to Brian Fisher, the only head coach in the history of this Monmouth program, has been doing it for the last 11 seasons, finding the right ways where you want to keep your culture in place, you want to keep the things that you're doing as a program in place, and find those enhancements to it. And they've been really smart about the way that they've used it and the way that they've been able to augment some of what they're trying to do here without changing what makes Monmouth Monmouth.
That's an excellent point. In a name we didn't mention, Dolov as well. He went to Rutgers. That's where Brian Fisher went. I'll tell you, it'd be a fun matchup. Brian Fisher was a face-off man and a defensive specialist at Rutgers, and Chaz Woodson was a really great attacker in his time at Brown. I know a couple years apart, but it's fun to see whoever leads your team, how they impact the area that they played.
Yes, no doubt about it. And a couple, you look at Brown, obviously, in that league, what the Ivy has done lacrosse-wise, one of the best programs in the country, recent national champion. So you look at two programs with great traditions of high-level play, and it is trickled down to what they're trying to do with these respective programs from the coaching perspective as well.
Hampton with a goal in each quarter and looking for more. They scored earlier in this second quarter, but the scoring has definitely slowed down. Monmouth had a 7-1 lead after the first quarter, and with 6.5 to go before halftime, just 2 goals for Monmouth so far. That shot was blocked. It'll stay with Hampton as Stanley the closest player to it.
And again, we have seen this familiar refrain working deep into the shot clock here, so now you've got to press and make something happen quickly.
Low pass, and that will pretty much ruin that possession as Hampton can only throw it behind the cage, and good recognition by Downing to not try and do too much.
Yeah, absolutely. He was being hounded back 25, 30 yards out from goal, and so a good job just to make Monmouth have to work the length of the field. But another good defensive stand by this Monmouth team. There has just been no back down. Even with this big lead, they have continued to bring that signature defensive intensity.
the 6-minute mark. Monmouth will get its attacking unit into position. Teets will control. You see McCray standing right in the middle of that Hampton defense. Just kind of being patient, letting his teammates do work. Here's Dundas. And he'll receive it back. Monmouth being very patient, leading 9-2. Good movement there and a good defensive job. That was a nice trail check by Chaz Hughes. It'll stay with Monmouth.
Yeah, Schneider made that opening cut. Looked like he was going to have some space to finish, and you're absolutely right. Good job not to give up on the play there and deflect that shot wide.
20 to shoot. Teets. Gonna set the screen now. Dolliv drew 2 defenders initially. He'll turn the corner. And now with just 5, and he unable to handle it, these teams will trade shot clock violations.
Well, and it was a really good piece of help there. I believe it was number 40, Matt Hunter, that came out from behind the cage and brought really that third defender on Dolliv, who just used his speed, his physicality to beat 2 guys off the left edge. It looked as if he might have had a small window to get that shot off, and then a good step up by Hunter to limit that window and lead directly to the shot clock violation. It has been a really much better defensive effort here in the second quarter. This is closer to the type of game I thought we might see Hampton try to play, and just weren't able to do so against some of those first-line Monmouth attackers. They've done well here in quarter number 2.
Yeah, you could just see the difference. 7-1 after the opening quarter, and in this quarter, Monmouth has scored 2 of the quarter's 3 goals. Much more competitive. Hampton winning a couple of face-offs in this quarter as well. Harris Fawcett. Seeing now 2 different Monmouth defenders running it. Canyon Steverson now behind cage. Good pass, but unable to get a true shot on it, and Heller will get the stop.
Yeah, nice job by Heller to go up and get that one off the bounce. Obviously wasn't exactly the shot that Hampton wanted to see there. To their credit, they really don't force a lot of bad shots. They're willing to be patient offensively, even despite the score. Set themselves up well, just didn't get quite as clean a look as they might have otherwise wanted right out there on that bouncer.
Yeah, and you start to see the strategy, right? If you have numbers and you can try to score quick, do it. If not, be patient. And that's part of, you know, as an athlete, right, a young student athlete, you want to go. You want to try to get towards goal. It takes a little bit more of that discipline to pull it back. But we've seen that really both of these teams be solid when they get into that more settled action. 3 minutes to go before halftime. Dundas, joined by Ketchen. Looking for shooting space. 2 Pirates run at him. Now Dundas. They run a second defender at him. Delayed flag does get thrown, and with 2:40 to go, Monmouth with a penalty coming. They'll probably take the rest of this shot clock, see if they can get an attack. Cole tries the wraparound, the save from Savassadam, but will get a penalty.
Well, in Monmouth, if you remember on the man-up, they had 1 possession in the first quarter and converted it very quickly to a goal. That was Nick Teets that scored after just a couple of seconds. So it was not the effort that Hampton wanted with their first man-down defense of the day. Monmouth able to get that quick strike and score, and we'll see what they do here on the 30-second penalty.
Fans, at this time we ask that any children 12 and under who would like to participate in the halftime Easter egg hunt, you hit the gate at the end of
so Monmouth, with already 1 man-up goal on the afternoon, will have, with 2.5 minutes remaining, their second chance. And like Kevin said, they didn't waste much time at all on their first man-up opportunity. And they get another defender off balance, and finding the spot in the zone was Ketchen for the goal.
No, and a good job. They have wasted no time. They really haven't fooled around with it either time. They've gotten the penalty. They've worked quickly. They've worked confidently. 2 shots and 2 man-up goals here for Monmouth. And, you know, and otherwise in a quarter where Monmouth's offense has been a little bit slower, you've got to take advantage of those opportunities when you get them. And, you know, credit to Monmouth here, just good passing, pretty simple man-up offense. Just keep that ball moving quickly. They get the cut, a little bit of a window for Ketchen, and he's able to take advantage.
And was able to sneak behind the two long poles in that Hampton defense. There's Terrence Lacewell to come away with it. And to give Monmouth another chance to add to a lead, starting to wake up towards the end of this second quarter. And, oh, too far. Burke Webb tried to reestablish behind the cage, and he wasn't able to.
Well, an opportunity here for Hampton. They can take off a good chunk of the remaining clock and get themselves an opportunity in a second quarter that they have played much tighter than the first. They can get a goal going here into the break. I think they'll feel very good about how they played these last 15 minutes going into the second half.
Really trying to spread things out and open up an attack lane for Mamadou Mayedi. He'll give way. They operate on the right side of that attack. Fawcett trying to free himself. Inside of a minute to go in the first half, 30 seconds for Hampton to shoot. Looking for room. Kai Talley will now throw it close to behind the cage. Here they go. Loose ball in front, and Monmouth will come away with the turnover. We have seen when Hampton looks to, Kevin, center that action in front of Heller, that's where Monmouth's defense really collapses.
Yeah, they've done an excellent job. That time it was Miles Edmiston that got the stick up and got the takeaway. Yeah, they really have not allowed those cutters to the edge of the crease. They have done a nice job at close range, and now they've set themselves up for a final shot before the half and a chance to extend their lead.
Edmiston, an all-CAA rookie selection last year. Now 10 seconds left for Monmouth. Dolive running right into a trio of Hampton defenders, and no whistle, and it'll get us to the end of the first half. And one that sees Monmouth jump in front of Hampton after one quarter, 7-1, and then after a much more competitive second quarter, we start to see Monmouth and that defensive unit start to settle in. Heller with a big stop, the attack joining as well, and Monmouth takes a 10-2 lead into the break.
Long time. This spring season, I think, is when it's as fun as it gets. When the weather does start to warm up, you've got multiple fields going. The last time I was out here for a women's lacrosse game, we were looking right in front of us and watching Monmouth softball play out there. So it is the best time of the year in college sports.
You know, it isn't. And while the nation is still worried about a couple of basketball games tonight, on so many campuses, that page is turned.
Yep.
You know, and like you said, not just the spring, but really the quote-unquote spring season that starts in, what, February?
yes. Yeah, it gets earlier every year, it seems.
We've had wild weather. We've had wild weather, anomalies, if you will. Did you feel the earthquake yesterday?
I'm totally disappointed in my earthquake experience. I was in Philadelphia, which it seemed to be hit or miss, depending on where you were, what building you were in at that time. I heard whether you were sitting or standing. So no, we were far enough that I missed out on the whole earthquake experience that you all had here in North Jersey.
I'm sorry you missed out.
Yeah. How was your? Did everything make it intact?
It did, and I'm going to tell you even more after I tell you about this, because that is Mamadou Miete who gets on the board, and Hampton has scored the first goal here in the third quarter. The graduate student from Harlem's 8th goal of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's the second leading scorer on this team behind Stanley, who we talked about early in this game. Hasn't quite been able to get it going. So a nice job by Miete here to start the scoring in the third quarter. And again, credit Hampton after going down big on the road early. They've been able to find a way to scratch out a few goals. This really their first against a set Monmouth defense, and I think that's an important dimension for them as we move on in this game.
Monmouth winning the ensuing face-off. Hampton's now scored in each quarter as Monmouth will look to regain that 8-goal lead. But I work about an hour north of here when I'm not here, and I was typing it at my desk, and I felt my desk start to kind of move a little. You know what it felt like? And I worked near Newark Airport. it felt like a plane was too close to the ground, but when it was more than 5 seconds of that, it was probably about 30 seconds. And I got a little lightheaded. I thought, okay, something's up here. And if you remember, we had one like 12 years ago. And I was actually here at Monmouth on the soccer field. I couldn't feel it on the field. So I think if you were driving or you're on the earth, you don't feel it. You feel it when you're in a building.
You have to be in the right circumstances. So yeah, I was I sat still for a while. I was hoping for an aftershock or something once I was getting the news. And yeah, Philadelphia, we got robbed of the total experience.
It's weird because they could feel it in Maryland all the way up to like
Boston.
Exactly. Upstate New York. Savassadam with another good save and good start to this third quarter for Hampton. They get the goal, trying to get a stop and come away with a ground ball. You see the scrum ensue. And a whistle, you see the push, and it will remain with Monmouth. It was Caden Kesselring, and then it was Dylan Robinson as well to be involved. Oh, Dylan Robinson in goal now. So, all right, sorry, Savassadam. He had a good game going, but now we see the junior from Chesterfield, New Jersey in goal. Good job by Kevin to recognize.
Yeah, that's been part of the calculus for Hampton this season. We have seen a steady dose of both goalkeepers. And again, I don't think you can put a lot of that unflattering first half score on Sadasavam. I thought made a couple of good saves, one or two, against this Monmouth attack that maybe he could have come up with. But, they go with Robinson here and off to a fine start again with Hampton scoring the goal and then marrying that with the defensive stop.
He's now appeared in 9 of 10 games for the Pirates. Made a season-high 8 saves way back a couple of months ago in a contest with Mercer, but his tenure with Monmouth off to a good start, and he's happy to be back home from New Jersey. "50 seconds for Monmouth to shoot. Dundas drawing so much attention. There's Gorman, and as he went to the ground, it was in the crease anyway, so Hampton score and a couple of stops.
Well, and that's a fine body of work here for Robinson. It was the longest Monmouth possession of the day in terms of time. Had to keep away a couple of different Monmouth shots and kept a lid on the goal, and now gives Hampton a chance to do something they have not done in this game and score back-to-back.
Oh, but coming off the bench and into the fray immediately for Monmouth. Let's go with Patrick Orapello. The big collision leading to this opportunity. He'll give his shot. Robinson, another save.
And I think he earned the opportunity to take that one after coming up with that hit at midfield, bringing it up. That was a really nice job by Orapello, the senior, to give Monmouth the possession. But Robinson, for me, the story of this third quarter thus far.
Yeah, since coming in, has made a couple of really impressive saves. It's on the heels of Hampton scoring so far the quarter's only goal and coming away with another defensive stop as they turn Monmouth over.
Yeah, they've just looked more and more confident as this game has gone on. Really got off to a kind of a nightmare start. 7 goals in the first quarter, but 4 in the first 4.5 minutes or so. So they've been down the entire time, but it's starting to level things in terms of time of possession, and again, a chance to look at another stop and back-to-back goals.
Yeah, I'm with you on Robinson. Coming in cold, right? I know you get to warm up, but no game action in that first half, and all he's done is make a couple of very impressive saves. Downing will get us started again for Hampton. 40 to shoot. There's Fawcett. He did score in that first half to the 5th-year senior from Piedmont, California. Starting, stopping, throwing it back to West. Has Monmouth defenders hounding him. And another loose ball. And this one's going to go to the other side of midfield, and the race is on. And Gorman will have to retreat back to midfield to restart, and the Hampton turnover will give Monmouth another possession.
Yeah, again, just good pressure throughout by Monmouth defensively. Forced Hampton as the shot clock was getting lower. You have to force the issue on those passes, try to thread some needles, try to maybe put it in a spot where you wouldn't earlier in the shot clock, and we've seen that familiar script play out time and time today. It's an excellent job by Monmouth's defense to now give their offense a chance. They have not scored here in now 5.5+ minutes into this third quarter. See if they can break through.
It'll start with Dundas again. And pass too high, intended for McCray. And as good as Monmouth's been defensively, and they do lead 10-3, they haven't been the most sharp on the attacking end. There's been some unforced errors, that the most recent example.
Yeah, a couple of turnovers, and you look at the raw numbers. They have just peppered the Hampton goal. 34 shots today, 19 on goal, and then about half of those have gone in. So you look at the overall body of work. I mean, it's certainly a high pace, but they have not been able to match the intensity and the quality of finishing that they had at the very start of this game.
No, I mean, look at just the pure numbers. After one quarter, it was 7-1. Since then, it's 3-2. So you saw, and you made the point in that second quarter that you could see, just Hampton came out, it was a little bit more solid, a little bit more energy, and it made all the difference. With Monmouth leading 10-3, I want to remind you that on our Monmouth Digital Network broadcast this afternoon, it's powered in part by the Monmouth Medical Center, an RWJ Barnabas Health facility and a recognized leader in patient safety and clinical quality. For more information about services close to you, visit rwjbh.org/Monmouth. RWJ Barnabas Health is proud to be the official healthcare provider of Monmouth Athletics. And right on cue, when he knows we're hungry, our producer Andrew Kurtz cues up Jersey Mikes, who remind you to be a sub above. It never fails.
Yeah, that's very true. That might fuel me on the drive home now that you've planted that seed.
And they just had their, at the end of March, kind of world-famous Day of Giving.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're down in Philly. I know Jersey
We've
Mike's
got
is
'em now.
everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's everywhere. You have to rotate it into your Wawa mix, I'm sure. But I think I saw the number for the Jersey Mike's Day of Giving, which so all profits that day go towards various charities. I think I saw the number was $25 million.
Wow.
Sandwiches, by the way. It's remarkable. And I contributed, believe me.
Sure. I contribute regardless of where those proceeds are going.
Right,
I'm happy to contribute.
I was like, oh, great. That's awesome to know. No, that's a day you order on the app and you order an hour early.
There you go.
Because of how busy it is. Hampton, by the way, coming up with another stop. Giving days are all over the place. I'm sure, did you see the Monmouth Giving Days and specifically the Monmouth Digital Network and the money they raised? That was remarkable.
I did. We were here last week at the end of the Monmouth Giving Days for Monmouth's home women's lacrosse game, and the numbers overall just eye-popping, record-breaking, $200,000 across the board in the first 24 hours, near $400,000 over 2 days. And yeah, you're right. And the Monmouth Digital Network being part of that, I was a proud contributor, and it's obviously a great organization that you and I have been a part of for so many years, and awesome to see them recognized along Monmouth's athletics teams on those great days of giving.
Yeah, I was keeping my eye on that leaderboard. As soon as, like you, I made my gift, I checked it out, and it was great to see all of the, not just Monmouth alums, but the Monmouth Digital Network alums and students who came through the program. A lot of the work that you see, with the exception of Kevin, myself, Andrew, who's our producer, Ann, who's around as well. Everyone else is a student here at Monmouth involved in this broadcast, and it's been this way for, oh my goodness, about 10 years now, in the fact that they've been able to grow into what this is. So happy to bring this broadcast to you as Hampton will now try to convert man up. And they'll have another opportunity. So we've seen them make that steady progress in the game. Now, if they can get a man-up goal, make it 10-4, got a new game.
Yeah, this almost feels like a must-have, given the clock and score situation. Obviously, there's still plenty of time halfway through the third quarter, but you get a golden opportunity like this to pull another goal back. You've got a little bit of momentum, arguably, for the first time today. This is one that Hampton really wants to find a way to score.
West will corral it. Man up this year. Hampton right around 11%. So looking for their 5th man-up goal of the year. And it's not about stats with the Hampton team. It's about the progress that you're seeing from them. Can they convert here? And they won't be able to. Monmouth forcing the turnover. Here comes Orapello, looking more like a football fullback when he gets into full gear, and Monmouth will try to kill the penalty off. And they will. Orapello looking like he had the fullback dive on a triple option, by the way.
That's right. Yeah, we saw that hit that he made at midfield earlier. He certainly, yeah, it is a football field as well, and his game translates, no doubt about that. He brings some physicality and some speed and intensity down the middle of that field.
And if we talk gridiron, these two teams have been league rivals for more than just 2 years, playing in a couple different leagues together. Look at that attempt, and Robinson with the save. Unbelievable sequence there. As I tell you what, that would have been one of the more amazing goals we've seen all season.
Yeah, that would have been an all-world goal right there if Monmouth had been able to convert. And credit Robinson, who again has stolen the show here off the bench in this third quarter, keeping Monmouth off the scoreboard. And that was a nice save that he had to make twice. Made it initially and then had to scramble to keep it rolling across the end line.
Could we call that an alley-oop attempt from catching?
Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it. What a look there on that pass. The turnaround by catching, great body control, and then Robinson, that's a really nice job to stay with it. Ended up, I think, sitting on top of it, but presence of mind to keep his wits about him in the crease. Great look, even better save.
Low attempt and a Monmouth stop. Heller will come up with the save on the shot attempt from Kai Talley. And now Monmouth trying to quickly push numbers back. Out throwing behind one of his teammates, and now going to get it was Kesselring.
That was a good job by Kesselring, who got his feet quickly. He was under a little bit of pressure from Hampton, needed to pick that up clean to keep the possession alive, and did. So good job to avoid the turnover there by Monmouth. They're +6 in turnovers today.
And with about 10 minutes gone by in the third quarter, still looking for their first goal here in the third. Here is Cole, scored a couple of first half goals. They're going to clear out for Luke Cole. He'll throw back Burke Webb. Schneider. Second defender runs at him, 25 to shoot. Cole able to spin. Throw back, good vision. Big windup and another blocked, I believe, right in the middle of it. And now Hampton will go the other way. How about the job Hampton's done defensively in the third quarter?
Well, and again, I don't want to give all of the credit to Robinson, but he's come up with a couple big saves. And what that allows you to do, it allows you to defend a little bit differently. If you've got more confidence in your keeper back there, you can be a bit more aggressive. You can bring that line of pressure a little bit further out. And that's what we're seeing Hampton do. They're able to play Monmouth a little bit differently than I think we saw in the first or second quarters. And it has really paid off now, keeping Monmouth off the scoreboard for all 11 minutes of the second half.
Downing as he draws a second defender. Now he'll throw back. Jonathan Angel. He scored in the first half. Starting to see even this Hampton side, the confidence build as this game wears on. Another big screen. Burt Murray. Time not a factor yet. Still a lot of time on the clock for now Stanley. Stop, start again. Does get matched up on the long stick here, and he'll maybe look to give it up and get a short stick on him. West in the middle. Angel's shot was deflected. Still 15 seconds for the Pirates.
Yeah, it was a good thought, and again, we've seen that a couple times, just not getting the shot off the way they wanted to. Angel, who has a goal today, capable scorer, but they just couldn't get enough on that shot after finding him on a good pass.
Low shot, Heller able to get a stick on it. And Monmouth's defense will come away with the stop. Delaware State and Monmouth, a non-conference softball game coming up. That'll be on Flow Sports, and a huge matchup for this Monmouth men's lacrosse program. with the Fairfield Stags, one of those teams in between Monmouth and the top of the league in Towson and Delaware. And Fairfield's been a good lacrosse team for a lot of years. A busy spring will roll on.
Well, that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on, just getting underway. Fairfield is hosting Delaware today, the other of those unbeaten CAA men's lacrosse teams. And so, yeah, that's going to be absolutely pivotal next week. Monmouth, sometimes they've done some good hard work this quarter, and the break's just not going their way. Or are they? Are they going to say that that broke the plane?
I think initially it was ruled a goal, now disallowed. So Dundas not goal, and Kevin will take another look.
Well, either way, it's as close as you can get. I thought in real time that was a post as well from Dundas. You're going to roll it back here and see. This is as good a look as you're going to get. I mean, that's just, I mean, we have the benefit of going frame by frame, and I don't think that anyone can say beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's a heck of an effort by Dundas.
It hit the bottom of the post. I think that's what's throwing everyone off.
Really tough call to make in real time, but I do think that absent something clear, they've got that right to keep that goal off the board.
And the previous Monmouth stop was made by last year's starter who's entered the game in Andrew Cullman, and he'll remain in goal. So now each team into their backup keepers with 1:45 to go in the third quarter.
Well, and it has certainly suited Hampton well, and Coleman, getting a look there. Again, it's gone a little bit overshadowed because of the margin in this game, but the Monmouth defense has continued to do an excellent job. They faced a lot more pressure here in the third quarter than in the first or second, and they've only allowed that one goal. 3 goals allowed in 3 quarters is a heck of an effort.
It was Coleman who was the Monmouth starter last year, their first year in the CAA, and the first year these two teams played. So he has experience against the Pirates squad. But you mentioned how good Monmouth's played defensively this afternoon, and it really, since that first quarter, so has Hampton as well. After allowing 7 goals, they've only allowed the 3 in the second, so far none in the third.
Yeah, they have just gotten better and better, and you mentioned it earlier, Eddie. I think the word is confidence. They have looked more confident. It has translated into how the rest of the defensive unit has played outside of the goalkeeper. It has translated into how the offense has played, and now they've got a shot here. Thought they might take this a little bit further down with basically no differential between shot clock and game clock. But they've been aggressive today, and not going to change that here in the final minute of the third, it appears.
Yeah, the shot and the game clock almost even, so we'll see what kind of look Hampton gets. They've made life difficult, has Monmouth, for Darius Stanley, the Pirates' leading scorer, who gives it up. Dodge by Talley. Hampton just kind of waiting for what could be a great chance here at the end of the third. Going down, flag up, and a lot to break down in the final 13 seconds. Looks as though we'll have a man-up situation for Hampton at the end of the third quarter, as we'll get the official call for the penalty. 13.6 remaining before we get to the fourth and final quarter.
Goal scored by number 30, Miles Fawcett.
And they're going to credit Fawcett with a goal. I didn't see an official give a goal mark, but now this third quarter continues for Hampton, Kevin. They've made it 10-4.
Absolutely, and again, played it to perfection. They get the face-off win afterwards, and maybe even a chance here in the waning seconds with the long stick.
That was Zion Garcia to shoot high. Fawcett's second goal makes it a very interesting third quarter, and one in which Hampton outscores Monmouth 2-0. And Kevin, we'll take another look as the Pirates playing their best lacrosse of the afternoon, heading to the fourth.
No doubt about it. They have tightened things up, kept Monmouth off the scoreboard for 15 minutes, and has woken up the offense as well. The Pirates strike twice, including in the final minute. The diving effort by Miles Fawcett, the fifth year, bringing Hampton closer. It's a 6-goal game as we head to the fourth.
That ball than I initially thought, Kevin. As you take a look at the season stats, one way, Monmouth's way, but don't tell Hampton that since halftime, it's a 3-3 game.
Well, absolutely, and in that third quarter, Hampton outscores Monmouth 2-0. They make the switch at goalkeeper. Dylan Robinson comes in, makes 3 saves, does not allow a goal, and he's done all you can ask him to do, which is give Hampton a chance to close the gap further. Monmouth with the important face-off win to start the fourth quarter, but there is no doubt that Hampton now has Monmouth's full attention going to the fourth.
And Chaz Woodson said as much to us. Feels like his team, that breakthrough was coming, and he's seen the progress as this season has wore on. This is good evidence of that.
Now, no doubt about it, you're down 7-1 on the road at the end of the first quarter, and there have been a couple of score lines this year that, if you look at them, have gotten away from Hampton, and they've buckled down and played great, and that's an important answer, I think, for Monmouth to start this fourth quarter with a goal.
And the Hawks do start this fourth with a important goal for the sophomore Riley Chester to make it 11-4. That's their first goal in the second half.
Yeah, amazing that you look at Monmouth, who was basically scoring at will through the first 15 minutes of this game. It's surprising to see them with a streak that long. Good job by Chester to get his first of the season to get things going here for Monmouth.
You can see he was able to kind of size up the Hampton defender, and Nathan Turner getting caught flat-footed on that play with no help sliding over allowed Monmouth to get back on the scoreboard, and you mentioned it. Nice goal for Chester, the sophomore from Newport Beach, California.
And right back to work, Monmouth, part of what they did such an excellent job of, I mean, they really did an excellent job of everything in the first quarter, but among them, the face-off wins as well, and that's what made life really difficult for Hampton early. So, Monmouth trying to get back into that pattern here, face-off win to start the quarter, quick goal, face-off win. You got a chance to get that ball rolling downhill a little bit again in the Hawks' direction.
Yeah, and I'm sure Brian Fisher had some encouraging words for his team in between the third and the fourth quarter. Monmouth knows how important this game is. We came on air talking about, they're in the mix, a handful of teams for really what's going to amount to those final 2 playoff spots in the CAA. With, we presume, Towson and Delaware going to make it. They're both 3-0 coming into play today. And Towson was up big at Hofstra, with Delaware still to play this afternoon. So every game is going to matter. And yes, it doesn't matter if a team is still looking for their first win like Hampton, Monmouth needing to capitalize. And they do so here and continue to do so as Kesselring makes it 12-4.
Yeah, and this is starting to look like the Monmouth offense of the first part of this game a little bit. Again, doing the work off ball, making a good cut by Kesselring, and finding the soft spots of these Hampton defenders. And look at the look inside here, where Kesselring is able to pick this ball up. You've got all that space. He just snuck his way in, and a missed assignment there by Hampton, who had set a very high line. Kesselring was able to tiptoe in along the crease, and nothing that Robinson could do there at close range.
And after the face-off and a violation, you'll see Hampton with its first possession now in the fourth quarter. Pirates scored the only 2 goals that this game saw in the third. Now they'll look for their first in the fourth. Gonna wait for teammates to join, and now here comes the Pirates attack. There's Andre Myers, a redshirt senior from Frederick, Maryland. Burt Murray, now Talley. Kai Talley gets a second defender run at him. Shot from the angle, and Burt Murray was off the line. I thought I saw that goal move. They'll reset things. It'll stay with Hampton. Here is Stanley. Hampton's leading scorer has had the full attention of Monmouth defensively this afternoon.
Yeah, tough for him to get anything going.
Throw behind the goal, on the run. Stanley looking for shooting space. Second Monmouth defender runs at him, and that one deflects off the stick of Coleman and the top of the cage.
And again, just a tough angle inside there for Myers. But backed up, and the possession will continue here for Hampton.
A ton of time still for the Pirates to shoot. Miete, who scored earlier in this second half, tried to get one off. It was deflected away, and it'll stay with Hampton. Long possession here in the early part of the fourth quarter for the Pirates. They get Stanley matched up on a short stick. Keeps it moving, shot from straight away, and it's stopped by Coleman. That was a rocket from Miete.
Yeah, nice job by Coleman to get that stick down and stay on top of it. He has made a couple of nice saves in relief here in the second half as well.
And then a long outlet that ultimately Monmouth had possession for a second. These two teams are battling back and forth, and Amari Ford will come away with it.
Yeah, nice pickup right along the end line there by Ford. That was a good effort on both sides. A nice, intense scuffle for it. And Hampton, again, every possession matters so much right now as they try to climb back into this one. Under 11 minutes to go, down by 8. You've got to get those stops. They do. They get their offense another opportunity.
Downing will wait for some attack help to join him. There's Fawcett. Now it'll be West. Comes Jonathan Angel. Big windup and a shot that goes wide. You know, we mentioned a few of those teams towards the top of the league standings, and you know, the CAA, and you and I have spoken about the strength of the league throughout our broadcast, but you know, a league that typically wants to get a couple of teams in the NCAA tournament. Delaware's won the last 2. The Blue Hens are 3-0. You know, in the last couple of years, they're 3-2 in the NCAA tournament. Factor in some opening round wins, and those represent the CAA's first wins in the NCAA since 2017. So that's the gauntlet in front of both of these teams, right, as they build. It's not just, you know, a one-bid league as Monmouth with another good defensive effort. It's a league that it's going to send its champion to the NCAA with a chance to do some damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were some great Towson teams before that in kind of the mid-teens that made some noise at the NCAA level. And yeah, there's a lot of great tradition in this league. And you know, speaking of the current standings, because we have those 2 undefeated teams right now in Delaware and Towson. Delaware is on the road at Fairfield, who's 1 game behind at 2-1. And right now Fairfield has the lead midway through the second quarter, 5-3. So that matchup next week is going to loom quite large with Monmouth taking on the Stags.
Yeah, and the points that you bring up as the Monmouth shot goes wide. Those runs from those Towson teams, and that was Sean Nadalin, and he's still there doing it down in Maryland. They won a game in the NCAA tournament 3 years in a row.
Yep.
I mean, that's an impressive run. 5 NCAA wins over the course of 3 years. And I guess fitting that those are the 2 teams right now unbeaten. But when you're talking about Fairfield, who's had a ton of success in a few different leagues, and you talk about, you know, Stony Brook and Hofstra and an emerging team in Monmouth that is looking to make some noise. Yeah, I mean, it's a very talented league. It's not the biggest league, but all of these teams, I feel like, for the most part, have or will get into the NCAA tournament as Monmouth continues to build its lead, now 13-4.
Well, and this is a showcase of that depth that we have talked about. Monmouth digging a little bit deeper on the roster and able to find some scoring from their bench. And you can see what it meant on the celebration for this team.
I mean, did you see the bench's reaction when senior Alex DiBenedictis scored that goal? That was a, like, they won a game in overtime reaction. And that was cool, special to see.
Senior getting his moment. You can see that right knee heavily braced coming in, and that was a good stick work to finish up there, going high to catch the pass, coming down low with it, and getting the shot. So an awesome moment for Monmouth. And again, you you get those opportunities because of the work that they did largely early in this game, staking themselves to that early 6-goal lead. You get the opportunity to go to your bench a bit, get those moments, and then De Benedictis is able to take advantage and put that goal in.
Came into the fourth quarter, it was 10-4, and had Hampton playing well, keeping Monmouth off the scoreboard in the third, but Monmouth has played this fourth quarter like a team that kind of was almost listening to us. We're talking about playoff positioning. We're talking about teams that are eyeing the postseason. Monmouth's one of them. They've scored all 3 goals here in the fourth quarter to retake command of this one.
Yeah, and I think it was important mentally, if nothing else. I mean, you look, even with those 2 Hampton goals, still a 6-goal game coming into the fourth. It was going to be tough for the Pirates to continue to mount a comeback of that margin. But, I think you get into a game where you're Monmouth, even with the big lead, 18 minutes being held off the scoreboard is not something you want to see against any opponent. And to be able to answer out of that with 3 goals here in relatively quick succession, 2 right in a row within 60 seconds, and now a third later in the quarter. I think this has been an important statement by Monmouth to kind of seize control of this game once again.
And with Monmouth leading 13-4, 8:32 to go in our fourth and final quarter. Our broadcast this afternoon on the Monmouth Digital Network is brought to you in part by World Subaru, located on Shrewsbury Avenue in Tinton Falls. Get more for your money at World Subaru. Broadcast also brought to you in part by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Great Coke taste, zero sugar. Happy to have you along on the Monmouth Digital Network. Our CAA Game of the Week on Lacrosse TV and Flow Sports. And it has Brian Fisher's Monmouth Hawks leading 13-4 over Hampton. Hampton looking for space right in the middle of Monmouth's defensive spot, and the Hawks will force another turnover.
And again, that defensive intensity really has not relented at any point today. Monmouth has kept that pressure up throughout, and nice job to come over in that near side corner and get the stop.
Yeah, it was Greg Clark, the defender, as with the 9-goal lead, Monmouth able to go to its reserves a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit more than they normally would, trying to get players some valuable time with still half a quarter in front of us and a 9-goal lead. Yeah, Monmouth happy to be home, happy to have an offensive outburst like this. The number for Monmouth all year has been 10. If they get to 10 goals, they're going to have success. 4-2 this season when getting to that 10-goal number. They haven't won a game, 0-3 when they fail to reach that number. Tells you the kind of games they like to play. They want to use their defense and want to use their great midfield play, and they add to the tally again. Now 14-4, Monmouth on top. Chester again.
Yeah, Riley Chester, what a quarter he has had. And again, a testament to the depth on this Monmouth roster. Had not scored a goal entering today. Comes in, gets 2 here in the fourth quarter. Got the scoring started earlier and now adds another. And just a good look to get a step inside his defender. Able to finish over on the right side of the cage. Pretty simple, just having that edge to get you in. Good look, took a little bit of contact there off the shot and gets it to go.
Monmouth also getting a player experience at that face-off X in the freshman Will Hahn Jr. It's Ethan Kronk, who's pretty much Monmouth's full-time face-off man. And we mentioned it, Hampton will rotate a few different players in, but Hahn getting some time as well, the freshman from Pennsylvania. Similar looking score to when these two teams played last season, but I think anyone who's been opposite of this Hampton team this year can say much improved team from not just a season ago, but from earlier this season up until now.
Yeah, and I think the next step when you talk about kind of continuing forward and projecting out for this Hampton team is to be able to cultivate the kind of depth that we're seeing from Monmouth right now. I think that's the last piece of the puzzle to come together, and what that allows you to do is just play 60 complete minutes. We saw a great middle 30-minute stretch here. They got themselves down early, 7-1. I mean, outplayed Monmouth for certain stretches of the second and third quarter. They won that third quarter 2-0. Just not able to then sustain that for a full 60 minutes. Monmouth has come back with 4 straight goals here to start the fourth quarter. So you can see the pieces at play there for Chad Woodson in his third season here in the Hampton program, and you know, you look at kind of what's to come next, and you know, I think they'll continue to build.
And you know, made an interesting point to us getting ready for this game in saying, you know, he feels like what the Hampton program not only is doing but represents. As you see Max Sullivan get on the scoreboard for Monmouth, the senior from Baltimore, adding to the lead.
Well, and this has been another you know, great opportunity for some of those seniors getting some playing time today. We talked about DeBenedictis earlier, who came in and got the goal, and now a similar opportunity for Sullivan, a senior out of Baltimore, Maryland, coming in and again threading a tight needle. 5th goal of the quarter. You know, Monmouth has really bookended this game nicely. 7 in the first, 5 in the fourth.
All adding up to this 11-goal lead with 5.5 minutes remaining. Well, one of the key takeaways from the conversation with Coach Woodson was, you know, just what the Hampton men's lacrosse program kind of represents, and how important it is that that team, you know, gets to play big-time Division I men's lacrosse. And now that it's being supported the right way, I think is an interesting one, and one that we'll keep an eye on, because you know, when you kind of start something from scratch. We saw Brian Fisher do it with Monmouth years ago. You know, Brian Fisher went from a winless first season to a championship in 4 years in the MAC, and it's a trajectory that Hampton hopes to follow as well, that starting out to being competitive. Now I'll say this, the CAA, a much tougher league to do that in than the league that Monmouth called home for many years. But the point kind of remains the same, right? Can you take those steps? Can you get a little bit better every year and every day? And it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think the degree of difficulty is a little bit tougher, and so that just makes the path a little bit longer. You've got to go a little bit more gradually. I don't think that 4 years is going to be quite the window of time. But, right. Yeah, you absolutely, you look at the investment on the athletic department side and what Coach Woodson has to work with, and you know, you hope that they give him the time that he needs to continue to figure it out and take those steps further in the right direction. You know, first, just about getting more competitive in the league. And you start to become a team that nobody wants to face regardless of outcome, and then you start to pick off a few of those games here and there.
Yeah, in the league that, you know, Monmouth came from the MAC into the CAA, the growth that they were able to make in that league, it allowed them to, you know, like you mentioned, grow your depth and what the program is. Not having a coaching change is huge too, and that continuity being so important. You can't overstate the point enough. Harder to do that in a league as good as the CAA. Kevin and I just talked about it. This is a league champion that when you win, you expect to go to the NCAAs and make noise and win a couple of games. It's kind of the expectation. A lot different from a league that is a, you know, true traditional one-bid league, and then you kind of give it your best shot. Like, no, you're going to win, and you're going to look to make some noise regardless of who your opponent is.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, again, when you know that you're competing at the top of this league, you're competing with the top of the country as well. And that's what the challenge is for both Monmouth and Hampton as they look to climb their way into the top 4 and make it first to the CAA postseason, and then give yourself an opportunity at the NCAA level. Yeah,
great point you bring up. That top 4 in the CAA is no small accomplishment. You know, with Towson and Delaware each at 3-0, you have a handful of teams battling for those final 2 spots. Monmouth is in the mix for that. Deflection here by Hunter. He does a nice job defensively with under 3 minutes to go to come away with the ground ball.
And a good job by Hampton as well. Obviously, this fourth quarter has gotten away from them a little bit, but played 80 seconds of solid defense there right to the final whistle and give themselves another opportunity with the quick clear back on offense.
Here is Burt Murray. Ellison Burt Murray, the senior from Atlanta. Another chance for Hampton and a chance to get on the scoreboard here for the first time in the fourth quarter. on that scoreboard. You saw that, remember at halftime way back when, Towson with a big lead over Hofstra. I know Delaware and Fairfield right now are in the middle of a tight one.
Yeah, they're coming up on the half in a one-goal game. Delaware has gone back on top 6-5.
It's a good game. Two teams that project to be in the postseason. Fairfield at 2-1. It was a big windup and ultimately blocked with 1:50 remaining. And Monmouth leading by 11. Hampton will come away with the ground ball after the Monmouth turnover. Fawcett scored a couple of goals for Hampton so far today. Matches a season high for the fifth-year senior. Attempt there that ultimately made its way to Coleman. Not only the save, but the outlet. He's been aggressive after making saves, trying to reignite Monmouth's attack.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he was trying to hit Connor Riebling there. Didn't get to him, but it was picked up further upfield by Danny Boyer, and Monmouth getting their opportunities here into the final minute.
Yeah, Greg Clark looking to score. Anytime you see the long pole try to score, everybody gets excited.
Yes, that's right. And again, these are the opportunities that you've earned. You get some extra playing time a little bit deeper down the bench, and certainly you get an opportunity. We've seen Clark pull the trigger a few times, hasn't been able to connect. And Hampton pushing the issue right back, looking for that quick outlet up the middle. They haven't stopped motoring either.
Yeah, they're going to look for another goal here late. Just 25 seconds remaining and thrown away, and that might be the final chance we see with just 23.4 left. And a pretty full effort by Monmouth. I think Kevin made the point earlier this quarter, and he's right. The way Monmouth started and ended this match is one thing they'll keep, and try to keep the similar intensity moving forward. They outscore Hampton a combined 12-1 in the first and fourth quarter.
Oh, an excellent CAA win here at home for Monmouth as the buzzer sounds. You get a 11-goal victory over a conference opponent. You're certainly going to take that. Obviously,